Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 18 minutes after the hour, I want to welcome onto the program Oregon State Representative Sal Esquivel, and he's up in Salem. The legislature is in session. It's, constantly feels like they're drinking out of a fire hose. And Sal, thanks so much for being on the program this morning.
How are you doing this morning, Craig?
Well, we're doing fine. I was protesting yesterday on this Senate Bill 941. Please tell me, what does it do to get criminals and illegal guns off the streets, and how does it make people safer when you've got the issue related to law-abiding citizens and taxpayers who now feel the pressure of more bureaucracy?
Well, it does absolutely nothing, and the only thing it does is cost the law-abiding citizen that does it correctly, cost them money and time. And what I mean by that is that if the excuses I've heard is that, well, we don't want to sell criminals guns. Well, yeah, no one does. But the problem is, you think some criminal is going to come down from Washington or Idaho or California or maybe even parts of Oregon, goes to the street in Portland to buy a hot gun, they're going to stop and say, let's do a background check?
It's insane. It's absolutely...
That's ludicrous, and it's insulting to people's intelligence to believe that they would. The other thing is that excuse for this was they said, well, yes, but we can separate some of the mentally ill people out from receiving a gun, the people that have mental problems. Okay, that's good to a certain extent, but it's only if they have been convicted in the first place of something, a crime, or they've been detained, they've been put into a hospital or something of this nature where it's public record, because with HIPAA, if you go to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist and you have some mental problems, they can't divulge that information in the first place.
Well, exactly right. And now, this Senate Bill 941, people don't realize that it's passed the Senate desk and it says pass with amendments. You go to the amendments page and there are multiple amendments, and now they get into the issue of marking felony on your driver's license, and they're required to notify the Department of Transportation within 48 hours, law enforcement, and you have to have that background check special number, or else you could be in violation.
Well, the amendments are potential amendments that will be attached in the House, I assume, because if it came out of the Senate, it came out as an engrossed version with the amendments attached and embedded into the bill itself. So whatever you see that the Senate passed is what we have, and the amendments are probably amendments that are being brought forward by House members.
Okay, because
they have not been attached yet.
Well, I wanted to find out because when you click on these, and some of them are relatively simple, 4 pages and the like, but then there's others that are not. So I don't want to get hung up on that. But the problem, I think, Sal, that really bothers me is that this stuff is going by so fast that taxpayers and Oregonians simply don't see and hear and feel what's happening, and it's going to be too late when this is passed. It's signing in as an emergency. It's through the Senate. I don't know what's going to happen in the House.
Well, I'm sure it'll pass in the House. They have enough votes in the House now, since they won another seat, to pass this legislation. So
yeah,
there will be Democrats voting against it. There will be Republicans voting against it, but I don't think there's enough of us.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. They've tried to pass this 2 other times in the legislature, I think going back even to 2007, and I was incorrect. It says, every court of this state with jurisdiction over felony offenses shall forward to the DOT a record of the conviction of any person convicted of a felony within 24 hours of the time the person is sentenced. So the DOT, I don't really have a problem with, I guess, driver's license being marked felon or non-felon. I don't know. I haven't thought about that before.
Well, I don't know.
I guess it's safe for law enforcement officers. If law enforcement
feelings about that.
Yeah, well, if law enforcement officers, if they pull somebody over, are they going to treat them with respect and courtesy if all of a sudden they're a felon? You have both sides of the coin. Are they a dangerous felon, or if they screwing around, or if they're trying to make their life better, and this mark on their driver's license marking felon is going to follow them around for the rest of their life?
Well, I've always looked at it like if you're a convicted felon and you pay the house and you're even with the house, then you're even at that point.
Right. You start over. I mean, everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, they make a mistake. We're not perfect, but then to have this...
We're not branding people with a branding iron because they've committed a crime.
Well, that's what this amendment is talking about. This 941-8 ties it all into Department of Transportation. I mean, there's more, but it's amazing that they push this through, and it does. And law enforcement officers are saying, number one, it's not enforceable, and number two, I'm not going to bother with it. I just simply can't. I'm deluged with other lawbreakers besides this. So,
let me explain to you just exactly how this thing went with Prozansky over in the Senate.
Oh.
He held a hearing, and a public hearing, and in that public hearing, there was 100% pros, 100% cons, okay? So there's a bunch of people that were for it, and there was a bunch of people who were against it. The ones that were for it, he heard 89% of their people that he heard was from them. The other people had about 11% input.
Not even half, then. I mean,
no,
11%.
Not even close.
So at some point, they just capped it off and said, sorry, we're out of time. See you later?
Well, they just limited them to a couple minutes, which is fine. I understand that when you have a lot of people. But the one thing is, you be very fair about you bring up pros and cons, and he was not fair at all. In fact, he cut people off.
This is the part that is so irritating is that, okay, I understand how the power swings. I understand that, but when you're pushing so much so your agenda, are they really listening to the other half of Oregonians?
Well, they didn't listen to half. They listened to 10%.
Yeah, but I mean, across the board, the voters, the constituents, the taxpayers of Oregon, are they listening?
Of course they are, because let's back up. Let's look at what they did when they passed the driver's permit for illegals. Okay.
Yeah, the motor voter, right?
But no, I'm talking about when they allowed people with illegal presence in the United States and Oregon to get a driver's permit to drive. That's the legislature did that. We went out with Measure 88 and overrode the legislature. That wasn't even close. It was 66 or 67 to 33. That's not even close. That's how out of touch some of these people are with the rest of Oregon.
This is why voting is so important, because they have to understand that if they're not going to do what Oregonians bid them to do and in their best interest, you can be replaced. So
well, that's right. But see, the problem I saw in this thing that really threw me, because that went down 2-1, 2 against 2 for overriding the legislature and 1 for upholding the legislature. But they still put back Kitzhoffer as the governor.
Oh, I know it.
So I'm kind of confused on what was going on there. I don't understand that.
Exactly. Sal, we're up against the break. Let's get to that and come right back. We've got Oregon State Representative Sal Esquivel on the program, so stay tuned. Back after this.
So get up. Top of the morning to ya.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 35 minutes after the hour, we're continuing with Oregon State Representative Sal Esquivel, and Sal's busy in Salem every day. The meetings are just long and intense, and we were talking just off the break, and Sal was unaware of what had happened over the weekend or related to Monday and the board disputing this textbook. And Sal, I know I'm going to send this article to you, but your comments on brackets within the Second Amendment.
Well, first of all, we don't write what we have on our own agenda and our own opinion into the Constitution. It's either there or it's not there. And I know the Constitution because I have a book here that I read that has the Constitution in it, and I've never seen the part where it says only military. That is a liberal agenda that's coming forward and being promoted by the schools and the school districts themselves, as well as nationwide, as well as the administration out of Washington, D.C.
See, here's the thing, and this is the point that people are forgetting, is that these words, each word was hammered out, by our founding fathers, and it is there, it is law, it is within the very fiber. I mean, the American flag, the documents we have, they're the only ones in the world. How dare we even change a single word, let alone put in our own definition? And it says in the book, and this is going to appear in the textbook, the 16th edition of the American Pageant, it says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And before it gets to the phrase shall not be infringed, there are brackets which says, i.e., comma, for military purposes.
Well, see, that's somebody's added in an agenda there, and I resent that very much.
That's exactly right.
What we need to think about is after the Revolutionary War, everyone went home to their farms. Did they give up their weapons?
No.
No. That's right. And did they have a militia? Maybe they did, but it was very loosely coordinated. That's just a liberal mentality coming through in an agenda.
See, and this is what I'm saying is, we have our children, they are our future. Why aren't we guarding them? Why aren't we protecting them? Why aren't we giving them the whole story rather than sliding it in every little bit and ambiance?
Well, I mean, it's a chipping away of everyone's rights is what it is.
Exactly.
It's just like sculpturing. They take a little here, take a little there, and pretty soon you don't have any rights. And that's something that we need to be very, very cautious of, is because that's the only thing we have to go for, and that's the only thing that we have to keep our government at bay is the Constitution. Exactly right.
Well, what else in our next few minutes is happening up at the House? I know it's got to be just nerve-wracking up there, but...
We just went yesterday or day before yesterday in Business and Labor. We went through what they call the Bill of Rights for franchisees and from franchisors. The people that have the franchise and they sell you a franchise, then evidently some people in this building feel you aren't smart enough to realize what's happened. And this happened with, what this does, it sets up a Bill of Rights that sets up more litigation, basically. So therefore, the trial lawyers and the lawyers will be the only ones that are really going to benefit from this. And the right of rescission, they have all kinds of different things in here. Well, if I'm going to be a franchise and I'm going to give somebody $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 to be a franchise dealer, wouldn't one think that I was intelligent enough to read the contract and have my attorney read the contract to make sure that I wasn't going to get damaged? And that's the risk of doing business. If you can't do the business and you lose it, that's your fault. That's not the franchisor's fault. But
so
they're putting the onus back on the franchisor from the franchisee, which is wrong.
Grow up. Put on your big boy pants.
Well, it's a typical thing of we've got one person out there that failed, so she got a hold of a lawmaker out of Portland, and now they're starting this bill. Now, how many franchisees or franchisees have you ever had come up and saying, this is not a good deal? Well, no. The people that own McDonald's, they like it. The people that own Burger King like it, with Jack in the Box, the whole banana. So they're quite successful. They do quite well. So you have one person in the state of Oregon that's done poorly, and she's claiming, I guess she's claiming that she didn't fully understand it. Well, that's something that she should have done research on.
Yeah, why is the failing of one person now all of a sudden responsibility of the Oregon legislature? Sal, before I let you go, we always bash on what's up, but I want to give props to this whole issue that the legislature has solved on upskirting. And we talked about this throughout last week, And this is the
Can you
kind of...
imagine that wasn't against the law?
Well, and you know what? I read the current law, and it said in a state of nudity,
Right.
without their approval. And so that's what happened. It was a loophole that no one realized that you could have a camera on the end of your finger, i.e. smartphone, and so years ago. And so it's a very swift fix, and that's what I think the Oregon legislature is in charge. It should be doing, rather than these other things.
Well, it was a good fix, and it was thoroughly vetted, and I thought that it was done in a manner in which it was a good outcome. Everyone voted for it and supported it, but I think we were all surprised that it wasn't against the law.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I read that whole thing with this 61-year-old went after a 13-year-old girl up at the Target store and and the judge, Butterfield, said he did not break a law because of the state of nudity. But when and it's happening, Sal, all across the country. All those states have the exact same problem. So I'm glad that the legislature came in and fixed that. And that's what the legislature's for, to do those kind of things. So... Well, Sal,
that's exactly what our purpose should be, and our purpose shouldn't be try to get into the business of business.
No,
of running a business. And that's what we're trying to do now. We've got too many people here that think they know better than business itself, so therefore they want to run it, and they want to make sure that and I'll tell you what, some of the attitude of some of these people up here is that we're going to tax the rich more because they've got the money.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. Hey, real quick, before we go, the kicker. Are they really going to sink their teeth into the kicker?
I don't think they've got the political will to do that, because they would lose, because they have to have 40 members of the House and 20 members of the Senate. They don't have either one, so therefore I think they'll just talk about it, and they'll try to berate us and try to shame us into it, even though they're the ones that spent the money, and they're the ones that don't tell us what's going on in the budget, because they gave schools $600 million out of $1.8 billion.
Yeah.
And we could have given schools much more, but now all of a sudden we don't have enough money.
Well, see, and why did they're pushing for full day kindergarten, but yet they purposely put through a $7.25 billion budget that's short.
That's correct. So it's an unfunded, it's permissible. You don't have to do it, I guess, is my understanding. But still, if you're going to start a program, you better fund it. And if you aren't going to fund it, don't start the program. Because the one thing about the internal thing, eternal thing that I see in life is a government program.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Goes on forever.
Well, and this is the thing, is what's Plan B? If they pass this budget now, schools are going to go without, and they're still going to make them have full-day kindergarten? Or are they going to pull the plug on that?
They have passed the budget. It passed the House and the Senate.
No, I know it, but are they going to continue with the full-day kindergarten, or are they going to everyone have to bail out of that? Because that's $200 million or so, right?
That'll be up to the school districts. I imagine a lot of them are going to bail.
Jeez. All right, we're up against the time clock. Ladies and gentlemen, Oregon State Representative Sal Esquivel, thanks so much, and keep up the good work up there. And
have a good one, Craig.
All right, sir. Take care. Oh, my gosh. Okay, got to get to a break. We'll be back. Ran along with Sal, but I tell you, it's amazing. And coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, local constitutional expert Joel Marks. Wait, I haven't talked to him since he was quoted in the Mail Tribune on this school board, but I can't even imagine what's going on there and the destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot allow it. This is America we're fighting for. I'm looking for patriots. We'll be back on the Sunrise Show after this break.